Rosa walked into her bank branch on a Tuesday morning and waited 47 minutes to speak to someone. The woman who had arrived after her, in the good coat with the leather purse, was seen in 11. Rosa counted. She counted because she had nothing else to do but stand there and watch and understand something she had always felt but never been able to name. She was 54 years old. She had banked at that branch for 16 years. She had never missed a payment on anything in her life, and she stood there for 47 minutes while the woman in the good coat sat in the cushioned chair across from a smiling advisor in under half the time. When Rosa finally got to the counter, the teller was polite, professional, efficient. Rosa asked her question, got her answer, walked out. She sat in her car in the parking lot for a long time. She was not angry. She was something older than anger. She was finally, at 54 years old, seeing clearly something that had been operating on her for 16 years without her knowing what to call it. What she discovered in the weeks after that parking lot, what she found by asking questions she had never known to ask, is what I'm going to tell you today. And I promise you, at least one of these 5 things is going to make you look at your bank statement differently from this day forward. Stay with me, because what Rosa found out should have been told to her the first day she ever walked through those doors. It wasn't, but it will be told to you today. Rosa Medina was 54 years old and worked as a school cafeteria cashier in a small city in central Texas, a flat, sun-hardened place where the summers lasted too long and the winters came mean and quick, and everybody knew which families were struggling by which kids ate the free lunch without paying. She had worked at the school for 13 years. She sat at the register from 7 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon, took the lunch money from the children, smiled at the ones who looked tired, quietly extended credit to the ones whose accounts had run out when she knew the office wouldn't notice for another day or 2. She had never been asked to do this. She had also never been asked to stop. She made $12.80 an hour and got summers off, which sounded better than it was, because summers off meant summers without a paycheck. She lived with her sister Petra in a house Petra owned, paying $800 a month in rent, which was fair and which Rosa was grateful for, and which she also knew, quietly, was the reason she had not been able to save enough to ever stop, depending on that arrangement. The detail that nobody saw, the thing that lived in the grain of her daily life, was her work shoes. She wore the same pair of black non-slip shoes every day for 3 years, and every 6 months she took them to a cobbler 2 blocks from the school and had them resoled rather than replaced, because new ones cost $62 and resoling cost $14, and $48 was a week of groceries. The soles had been replaced so many times that the shoes were more repair than original. She wore them like they were new because she treated them like they were worth caring for. In her room, in the drawer of the nightstand on her side of the twin bed, under a rosary and a folded church bulletin and a tube of hand cream that was almost empty, there was a small tin, a candy tin, the rectangular kind that comes at Christmas, painted red and gold, a little dented on one corner. Inside the tin there was no candy. There were coins, a few bills folded small, and at the very bottom, pressed flat, a photograph torn carefully from a magazine. The photograph was of a small house, not grand, a porch with 2 rocking chairs, a yard with a rosebush along the fence, a window with the light on inside. Rosa did not know where the house was. It was just a photograph in a magazine, but she had been carrying it at the bottom of that tin for 11 years because it was the only private image she had of what enough might look like. She had not looked at the photograph in over a year. She had been too tired to want things clearly. The Tuesday at the bank had started because of an overdraft. Rosa had direct deposit. She had banked at the same branch for 16 years, the same checking account, the same routing number. On a Friday in October, her paycheck deposited as scheduled. On Monday morning, she paid 2 bills online, her phone, $62, and her car insurance, $114, which she had been doing from that same account for 9 years. On Tuesday, she checked her balance before going into work. Negative $31. She stared at the number. She called the bank's automated line. The system told her she had incurred an overdraft fee of $35. She had not overdrawn the account. The money was there. She had checked before she paid the bills. She went to the branch, waited 47 minutes, got to the counter. The teller explained it carefully, politely, without apology. The bills had processed before the direct deposit fully cleared. Even though the deposit showed as available, there was a 24-hour processing window on new direct deposits. Rosa had had direct deposit at that bank for 9 years. The teller said the policy had changed the previous year. Rosa asked when she had been notified. The teller said there had been a notice in her monthly statement. Rosa received her statements electronically. She had not read the full text of the last 12 statements. She had looked at the balance and closed the document. She paid the $35 fee. She could not afford to argue. She was already negative, and the school day started in 40 minutes. In the car, leaving, she looked at her hands on the steering wheel. In the back seat, on the floor behind the passenger seat, was a canvas tote bag she had been meaning to bring inside the house for 2 weeks. Inside it were 3 library books, overdue by 4 days, and a small notepad she had been using to jot down questions she kept meaning to ask, but never did. Things she wanted to understand about money. She wrote them down when they occurred to her, and then forgot to look them up. She had been carrying that tote bag back and forth for 2 weeks without taking it inside. She did not know yet that the notepad in that bag was going to become the most important thing she owned. The library was where Rosa went the following Saturday to return the overdue books. The fine was 60 cents. She paid it in exact change from the bottom of her purse. She was on her way out when she saw the sign for the free financial workshop in the community meeting room at the back. Understanding Your Bank, What They Don't Tell You. Saturdays, 11 to noon. A laminated flyer with a pull-tab phone number at the bottom. She almost walked past it. She stopped. She looked at it. She thought about the 47 minutes and the $35 fee and the policy change she had not read. She went in. The meeting room had 8 chairs, 6 of them occupied. The woman running the workshop was not what Rosa expected. She had expected someone young, in business clothes, with a laptop and a presentation. What she found was a woman who looked to be in her late 60s, maybe older, small-framed, with silver haircut, close to her head, and reading glasses hanging on a cord around her neck. She wore a plain cardigan the color of oatmeal, and she sat in a chair like everyone else, not at the front of the room, just in the circle. She was not a financial advisor. She introduced herself as a retired bank teller of 31 years, someone who had sat on the other side of the counter for 3 decades and had watched, week by week, what the institution did to people who didn't know the rules. She talked quietly. She did not use jargon. She stopped when people had questions and answered them the same way she would answer a friend, fully, without making anyone feel small for not knowing. Near the end of the hour, a woman across the circle asked, "Why don't they just tell people this stuff when they open an account?" The retired teller was quiet for a moment. Then she said, evenly, without bitterness, just plainly, "Because a customer who understands the system costs the bank money. A customer who doesn't. The room was quiet. She looked around the circle. She said it one more time, slower. "The account that stays confused keeps the fee." Rosa wrote it in her notepad, the one from the tote bag she had finally brought inside. She wrote it twice. "The account that stays confused keeps the fee." She looked at those words on the page and felt something unlock in her chest, not rage, something calmer and more dangerous than rage. Clarity. What Rosa learned in the months after that library room, she learned by going back every Saturday it met, by asking the questions she had written down, by reading things she had never read before, and asking Petra to help her understand what she didn't. Here are the 5 things, the 5 rules the bank uses, that she needed someone to tell her 20 years ago. And this is the part I promised you in the beginning. This is what I said I would tell you before we were done. The first lesson, which came as a small shock. Banks sort their customers, not by name, not by how long they have been there, by what is called their profitability score, which is shaped primarily by how much money sits in the account, whether that account generates fees, whether the customer uses the bank's financial products, and whether the balance stays high enough to earn interest the bank can use. Rosa had been at that bank for 16 years. She had never incurred a fee before the October overdraft. She had no loans, no credit cards, no savings products through them, no investment account. She had a checking account with an average monthly balance of $312. In the bank's system, Rosa was, by their own internal logic, a low-value customer. Not because she was worth less, because she cost them money to serve without generating the revenue to offset it. The 47 minutes in line was not intentional cruelty. It was the natural result of a system that, without anyone in that branch making a conscious decision, moves faster for the customers it values more. Rosa did not cry when she understood this. She wrote it down. The second lesson, which came with the most painful shattering of expectations. The overdraft fee was not an accident. The retired teller explained how transaction ordering works. When multiple transactions hit an account on the same day, some banks process the largest debits first, not the smallest, not in the order they arrived. This maximizes the likelihood that smaller transactions tip the account into overdraft after a large one drains it, generating more fees than if the transactions were processed in the order they came. Rosa thought about the $62 phone payment and the $114 insurance payment. She thought about the paycheck that was technically there, but not cleared. She asked the retired teller, "Is this legal?" The teller said, "It has been challenged in court. Some banks changed the practice after lawsuits, some didn't. Read your account agreement to see which applies to yours." Rosa went home and read the account agreement for the first time in 16 years. 14 pages of small print. She found the section. Her bank still processed high to low. She called the bank the following week and asked to be switched to an account type that did not carry overdraft fees but instead declined the transaction. The representative told her that option existed. She had not known. Nobody had told her. It was not the account she had been given at 26 when she walked through the door and signed whatever was in front of her. She switched. The monthly fee for the new account type was $4 less than the one she had been in. The third lesson, which came with an unexpected twist. Rosa had always assumed that keeping her money at one bank, being loyal, being consistent, was something the bank rewarded. She had never asked for anything. She had never complained. She had been there 16 years. She found out, in that library room, that loyalty is not a metric banks track in the way customers believe. The metric they track is the balance. A customer who has been there 30 years with a low balance is, in the system, approximately the same as a customer who arrived 6 months ago with a low balance. Rosa did not feel betrayed. She had stopped expecting to be seen by the institution. What she felt instead was free of a loyalty she had been performing for 16 years to someone who was not watching. She opened a savings account at the local credit union that week, not because credit unions are perfect, because they are member-owned, which means their interest is legally required to align more closely with the member's interest than a bank's shareholder's interest. The savings rate was higher, the fees were lower, the minimum was $10. She moved the money slowly over 3 months so she could see how it behaved. She did not close the bank account. She kept $12 in it, which was enough to maintain it without fees, and she left it there like a marker, like proof she had been there. The fourth lesson, which emerged from near physical surrender. By month 3, Rosa had learned enough to feel, for the first time, something worse than confusion. She felt grief, not for the money specifically, for the time, for the 16 years, for all the Tuesdays in waiting rooms she had absorbed as the natural texture of being a person with her balance, and her shoes resoled 3 times, and her candy tin under the rosary. One evening in January, she got home after a long shift and sat on the edge of her bed and reached into the nightstand drawer. She took out the candy tin. She opened it. She looked at the coins, the few bills, the folded photograph of the porch with the rocking chairs. She took the photograph out. She unfolded it. It was creased in 12 places from being folded and unfolded over 11 years. The paper had softened at the folds. She held it for a long time. Then she put it face down on the nightstand. Not in the tin, face down on the surface. She sat there, looking at the blank back of the photograph. She was not leaving. She was not stopping. She was acknowledging, physically, with her hands, that what she had been carrying for 11 years as a private dream had also been functioning as a private wound, proof of what she hadn't reached, evidence of how long she had been wanting and not arriving. She sat there for several minutes. Then she picked up the notepad from the nightstand. She opened to the page with the words from the library. The account that stays confused keeps the fee. She read it. She read the pages of notes that came after. She turned the photograph back over. She looked at the porch. She put it back in the tin. Not at the bottom this time. On top, where she could see it without looking for it. The fourth thing she understood that night was this: shame is a tool the system uses without ever picking it up. The woman who is ashamed to admit she doesn't understand the terms is the woman who never asks. The woman who never asks pays for what she doesn't know, year after year, in fees and lost options and 47 minutes in a waiting room and a loyalty that no one is measuring. Asking is not weakness. Asking is how you get back what they have been quietly keeping. The fifth lesson, the one that solved the main loop. Rosa went back to that branch, not on a Tuesday. On a Thursday morning, when the branch opened before the crowd, she asked to speak with an advisor. She waited 8 minutes. The advisor was young, earnest. She sat across from Rosa and Rosa said, simply, "I have been a customer here for 16 years. I want to understand every fee I have ever paid and whether any of them were avoidable. And I want to understand what accounts and products here would actually serve my income level." The advisor pulled up her account. They were in that conversation for 55 minutes. What Rosa learned in that room: she had paid a total of $280 in fees over 16 years that were fully avoidable with account types that had existed the entire time and that no one had ever mentioned to her. She had been eligible for a higher yield savings product for the last 4 years based on her tenure as a customer. That product had a rate 3 times her current savings account, which had almost nothing in it because she had not known the better option existed. She did not rage at the young advisor. The young advisor had not designed the system. She was working in it the same way Rosa had been working in the world, doing her job, moving people through. She asked the advisor to move her into the better products. The advisor did. It took 12 minutes. 16 years of not knowing. 12 minutes to fix it. By spring, Rosa's financial life looked the same from the outside and completely different from the inside. The same shoes, resoled in March. The same $800 to Petra. The same register at the school cafeteria. The same children. The same quiet extension of credit to the ones who had run out. But the credit union account was growing by $40 a month on automatic transfer. The bank account was costing her $4 less per month in fees. The higher yield product was accumulating interest she could actually see. Small, real. Petra noticed something at dinner one evening in April. She said, "Rosa, you've been different." Rosa said, "Different how?" Petra thought about it. "You ask more questions," she said. "At the store, at the doctor, everywhere." Rosa considered this. "I stopped assuming the person across from me knows what's best for me," she said. "They know what they've been trained to say. That's different." Petra looked at her. "Where did that come from?" "Library," Rosa said. Petra laughed, thinking it was a joke. It was not a joke. At the school, one of the teachers, a younger woman named Miss Caldwell, came to the cafeteria window at lunch and quietly asked Rosa about a bank situation she was having trouble understanding. She had heard, she said, from the front office secretary that Rosa had figured something out about bank fees. Word had traveled through the school the way word travels in small institutions, without anyone intending it to. Rosa explained what she knew. Right there at the window, in the 5 minutes between the third graders and the fourth graders, she laid it out. She laid it out. Miss Caldwell wrote it on her phone. Rosa went back to ladling soup. The woman's name was Dahlia, and she was 43 years old, and she worked at the laundromat 3 blocks from the school, the one Rosa passed every Thursday on the way to the library. Rosa had seen her for 2 years through the window. Dahlia was always working, loading machines, folding other people's clothes, moving fast from the moment the place opened. On a Thursday in May, Rosa went in because the car had a slow leak in the back tire, and she needed to kill time while the shop down the street patched it. She sat with a book. After a while, Dahlia came and sat down in the row of plastic chairs during a slow moment and looked at the machines turning. They sat in the comfortable silence of 2 women who have nothing to prove. After a few minutes, Dahlia said, mostly to herself, "I've been trying to open a savings account for 2 years, and every time I go to the bank, they tell me I need a minimum deposit of $100, and I never have $100 free at the same time." Rosa looked up from her book. She was quiet for a moment. Then she reached into her bag. She took out the notepad, the same one from the tote bag, the same one she had carried into the library that first Saturday. She opened to a clean page and wrote down 2 things: the name of the credit union and the address of the Saturday workshop at the library. She tore the page out carefully. She held it out to Dahlia. Dahlia looked at it. "The credit union opens an account for $5, Rosa said, "not 100, 5. Dahlia read the 2 things on the paper. "And on Saturday mornings there's a free workshop," Rosa said. "A woman who spent 30 years as a bank teller runs it. She explains what banks don't tell you." Dahlia folded the paper. "What do they not tell you?" she asked. Rosa thought about the 47 minutes, the $35 fee, the high-to-low transaction ordering, the 16 years of loyalty measured by no one. She thought about the candy tin in her nightstand, the photograph of the porch, now resting on top of the coins instead of buried beneath them. "They don't tell you," Rosa said, "that the account that stays confused keeps the fee." Dahlia looked at her. "What does that mean?" "It means you're not confused because you're not smart enough," Rosa said. "You're confused because confusion is more profitable for them than your clarity is." Dahlia held the paper with both hands. Rosa picked up her book. The machines kept turning. The dryers kept humming. 2 women sitting in plastic chairs, not looking at each other, not needing to. Some things are passed in silence. Some things only need to be said once. I need you to sit with something for just 1 moment. How many years have you been walking into a building and trusting that the system inside it was built with you in mind? How many fees have you absorbed as the natural cost of not having more? How many times have you stood at a counter and felt like you were in the wrong and couldn't name why? Rosa found out that $280 had been taken from her over 16 years in fees she never needed to pay. She found out in a single 55-minute conversation. She had been sitting on the information she needed for 16 years, and no one had handed it to her, because handing it to her would have cost them money. She is not exceptional. She is not uniquely unlucky. She is every woman who was given a form to sign at 20-something and told where to write her name and never told what the fine print meant. You deserve to know what the fine print means. So I want you to do one thing this week, just one. Call your bank and ask, what fees am I currently paying? And are there account types with lower fees that I qualify for? That is the whole question. You do not need to know anything else to start. And then come down here and type day 1 and tell me one thing you are going to do today, just for you, just for your future. It can be that phone call. It can be finding your account agreement and opening it for the first time. It can be writing down a question you have been too embarrassed to ask. I want to read every single one. And if you have a sister, a mother, A woman in your life who has been giving her loyalty to a system that is not tracking it. Send her this. Don't explain. Just send it. She deserves to know. I will see you next time. Thank you for being here with me today.